Hello and welcome to the newspaper review here on TAF TV. This is where we analyze and dissect trending and catchy headlines. We get to discuss with people on the streets, on newspapers now. We get to see the reactions on about the stories making rounds on the papers. Well, my name is Obed Jerry, your host for today, and you can also be a part of the show. Do help subscribe, turn on the notification button, connect with us across all our social media platforms so that when we drop videos like this, you get to receive our notifications. Now, before we get to discuss with people on the streets, let's see what the stories on the newspapers look like. First, we'll be looking at the New Telegraph newspaper. We could see as headline here. It reads, high tariffs, more Nigerians abandon imported vehicles at port. Details of this story is found on page 6. CBN, credit to economy hits 103.1 trillion naira in January. Details of this story is found on page 8. We could see as headline here reads, Senate frowns at 17 trillion naira loss on tax waivers. Details of this story is found on page 2. Ibadan, tribute as CJN AGF Ondo Governor or your CJ, others pay last respect to Akeredolu. Details of this story is found on page 28. Aircraft dry lease, Nigeria begins process to exit risk status. Sub-story under that reads, federal government installs 30 seconds clearance gates. Details is found on page 3 and 5. Benue local governments under siege as headers intensify invasion. Details of this story is found on page 6 and 28 of the News Telegraph newspaper. We could see as the main story here reads, worsening hardships, no 42,000 metric tons of grains in federal government strategic reserves, silos, says Bugaje. Details of this story is found on page 3, 4 and 30 of the New Telegraph newspaper. We could see as headline here reads, federal government accepts partial blame for high cost of cement. Pegs price at 7,000, 8,000 naira. Details of this story is found on page 5. Delta, kidnappers write threat letter to vigilante chief. Sub-story under that reads, tragedy as OAU lost staff to lion attack. Details is found on page 28 and 30. A very sad one. Navy uncovers 14 illegal crude oil processing sites in Rivers community. Details is found on page 28. Alleged 47 billion naira debt. AEDC threatens to disconnect ACL. AEDC threatens to disconnect Aso Rock, ECOWAS, United Nations, World Bank, CBN, NAS. Details is found on page 2. Tanker drivers strike, panic buying in Lagos, others. Details of the story is found on page 2. And that's all be taken on the New Telegraph newspaper. And looking over to the Punch newspaper, we could see as headline here reads, EFCC detains Esquire Governor Ahmed over alleged 10 billion naira fraud. Details is found on page 9. Aso Villa, DHQ, CBN face disconnection over 47 billion naira debt. Details is found on page 20. Senate asks FIRS to suspend 17 trillion naira tax waivers. Details is found on page 20. We can see at the main story here reads, Labour mobilizes for protest. Tanker drivers strike triggers fuel queues. Sub-stories under that reads, federal government meets drivers. Filling station shots. I take that again. It says federal government meets drivers. Filling stations shots in Abuja, Kano, Ogun. Hype man urges dialogue. Another sub-story under that reads, NLC adamant. Workers vowed to join demonstration as Oyo protesters lament hunger. Details of this story is found on page 2. Gunmen kill 1, rape 3 Delta police students. Details of this story is found on page 5. Slain DPO. Rivers police confirm killing prime suspect. Details is found on page 4 and 5. Cement manufacturers list conditions to crash spiraling price. Details is found on page 19. And that's all be taken on the Punch newspaper.
Sometimes you go say they give you poison. You go go prayer house. They go tell you say yes. That woman waited by your corner. But that tree waiting for your house.
And lastly, we'll be looking at the Nation's newspaper. We could see as headline here reads, Disco threatens power cut to Aso Villa. Others over 47 billion naira debt. Details is found on page 7. Ohaneze won't join protest, says Iwayanwu. Details is found on page 5. 10 years after, agitators complete PAP aviation training. Details is found on page 38. Funeral rites for elder statesman Wambweze begins Thursday. Details is found on page 32. We see at the main story here reads, why cement can't sell below 7,000 naira by manufacturers. Sub-story under that reads, Dangote, BAU, Lafarge blames soaring price on forex, gas price, bad road. Details of this story is found on page 25. Diversion of 10 billion naira. EFCC detains ex-Kwara governor. Details of this story is found on page 4. Don't campaign before April 24. INEC warns in Edo. Sub-story under that read, Group hails Uzodima's committee. The Kerry storms APC Abuja headquarters. Demand COR. Details of this story is found on page 4. Somas Founders Day. Southeast Monarchs. Chair hails Iguayanwu. I take that again. He says Somas Founders Day. Southeast Monarchs Chair hails Iguayi Mba. Details of this story is found on page 5, and that's all be taken on the Nation's newspaper. Now let's get to see the reactions of the people on the streets. Let's get to hear what they have to say as regards these headlines on the newspapers. All right, good morning.
Good morning, brother.
I'd like your thoughts on the Punch newspaper that says Aso Villa, Defense Headquarters, CBN, face disconnection over 47 billion naira debt.
I don't think it is possible
Exactly.
for DH this thing to disconnect. Yeah, for NEPA, we call it the NEPA here, to disconnect Aso Rock.
CBN.
Disconnect CBN.
All houses of the country.
Aso Rock himself. And they have disconnected them. I don't think it is possible. And we, the common people, if we don't even get the light, and when they come to us, they say, hey, you did not pay this, you did not pay that, they will disconnect us. When you go to collect it, I say, no, they will not collect you until you pay. Who is going to pay? If they can disconnect us, it's my joy.
Is it even possible for them to disconnect?
Yes, if they actually disconnected Aso Rock, it is good for the citizens.
Remember that the head of that NEPA office in Abuja is controlled by the president.
So who is paying who?
Exactly. And where would the money go to?
And where would the money go to? That's what we are asking. If NEPA should disconnect Aso Rock, CBN, I say it is my joy for them to feel the pain the citizens are feeling, even when we don't have the light.
Even when at times when we pay, we might not even see
it. And they will come and say they will disconnect us. Sometimes you see them quarreling with, fighting with the citizens. They say they will don't pay, they will disconnect us. For what? The wire you bought with your money, the light, even you don't see it, and they say they will disconnect us. So if these people should gather mind and disconnect us, it will not ginger them to see that the people outside there, they are suffering. They are suffering.
But is it possible for the federal government now to pay this 47 billion naira, knowing how the economy is at this moment?
They can pay because all the money is their own. The currency is their own. I don't know.
They have access to it.
Yeah, they have access to it. They can print as many color of the currency they want and give to them. But we, the citizens, how do we pay? You have never seen food to eat, then they will ask you to pay at their own price. They will tell you the price you pay. Whether you consume or you do not consume, you pay them. So it is very bad.
Now one last question now. Is it proper, because they've been owing this debt for a very long time, is it proper for the Abuja Electricity Company to bring up such issue at this period that we are suffering? People are suffering. Why is it now they are bringing such issues? Why didn't they bring it up since? Is it now that people are complaining that there's no light? Do you think it's more like they are using it to cover up?
Yes, I said they are using it to cover up. Because if you look at the economy, now everywhere is shattered. It's a shambles.
Exactly.
And now you are bringing it. I will disconnect Aso Rock. It's just a cover up, which I don't think they can do that. They can't do it. It's just paperwork for paper to say.
It doesn't make us believe that everybody is going
doing blackout, which is not possible. A day that Aso Rock did not get light, they know what it means. You understand? They know what it means, which they cannot get to do that.
Exactly. They affect a lot of things.
A lot of things. Yes.
Thank you very much. Yes. Right. Good morning.
Good morning.
I like your thoughts on the Punch where that says slain DPO, Rivers Police confirm killing prime suspect. And we all know who the prime suspect is.
All right. We all know who the prime suspect is. But there is a problem in Rivers State. The prime suspect is killed, but there are some Rivers indigents and non-Rivers indigents that have been arrested in respect of this same slain DPO,
And some
who are in police custody now taken to court. As of yesterday, the court have adjourned their bail condition to another date. Now, the question that comes into our mind is that the people in Kirikiri Maximum Prison who are connected by the police investigation, is it political that these people were only taken to that place because they are supporting a section of the government that is not the Abuja section, or the police are not doing their job? For example, this same slain DPO had traditional rulers, about 12 persons, including the former local government chairman, Ikegudi, and the Ezepe, who were all locked up in Port Harcourt prison, that were given bail by court. Their trials are still on. The question comes to mind: who really killed the DPO? Is this DPO killed by the police officers that escorted him? Or are they telling us that the prime suspect is dead because they never wanted the true story to emanate? Because politics in Rivers State is what will never end to surprise us. For example, the House of Rep lady representing Asaretoru, Akukutoro constituency, Bomagude, came to Rivers State one day in an angry manner, made claims publicly that 3 personalities, the Ikwere local government chairman, Sanwola Nosike, the former governor of Rivers State, Onyesa Wike, and the senator representing the Ogoni axis, are at know of what led to the death of this DPO. And since then, none of them have refuted her claim, nor has anyone been arrested or questioned what has the commission IG done. Rather, IG will run to court to seek permission to arrest the Rivers State Chief of Staff and others. It sounded political a little. Now they have told us that the prime suspect is dead. How are we sure that this prime suspect is really dead? Who have seen the prime suspect corpse? Who identified that this prime suspect is dead? Or are this all still political way of hiding the truth from the public? Rivers people are watching. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. You heard what has been discussed here. You heard the reactions of people on the street. If you have anything to add to it, or you have a counter opinion, please slide to our comment section and drop your comments there. Do well to subscribe, turn on the notification button, and follow us across all our social media platforms so that you get to be receiving our notifications easily. My name is Obed Jerry, your host for today, and this has been the newspaper review here on TAP TV. See you next time.